was pretty empty. Oh, this one's full. Of course you got it. I think it's up in the air at this point.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Center of Divine Love and Light. My name is Reverend Janet Lee Kraft. I'll be your guest speaker this morning, and we'll be cranking out some tunes for you as well. So we're going to start with a very easy chant. You don't really need the words because I'll kind of lead you. It's really called All Things Are Possible, if you believe, right? Do you believe? Amen. For sure. Amen. Yes. So all things are possible. So you'll catch on as we go, and I'll kind of direct you. So let's just affirm in song that all things are possible. It goes like this. All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe.
If you believe.
All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe.
If you believe.
All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe.
If you believe.
All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe.
If you believe.
All things are possible if you believe it. All things are possible if you believe.
If you believe.
All things are possible. Although sometimes it doesn't look possible, sometimes it looks completely crazy and impossible. But you know what? If you trust that intuitive knowing, if that intuitive knowing guides you, then you can rest assured that all things are possible. You just have to believe it. So it's a matter of believing. All things
Are possible.
See, he's telling you. All things
Are
So let's affirm all
possible.
things. All things.
Are possible.
Yes. All things.
Are possible.
Now just some things or all things? All things.
Are possible.
All things.
Are possible.
Yes, all things. All things.
Are possible.
Yes, they are. All things.
Are
Let's affirm
possible.
all things are possible. All things are
possible.
If you believe it, all things are possible.
Are possible.
If you believe,
If you believe,
all things are possible.
are possible.
If you believe it, all things are possible.
Are possible.
If you believe,
If you believe,
all things are possible.
are possible.
If you believe it, all things are possible.
Are possible.
If you believe,
If you believe,
all things are possible.
are possible.
If you believe it, all things are possible.
are possible.
If you believe, if you believe.
Thank you, Jan. That was beautiful. And thank you, everyone, for singing along. So, if you made it here today in this stormy weather, I want you to pat the person on the shoulder next to you and said, "Good for you, you made it." Or pat yourself on the shoulder if you're sitting alone. And we thank everybody here, too, that's with us on live stream today. My name's Bobby, and it's my pleasure to greet you. And for those of you in the sanctuaries, well, as you watching at home from live stream, we affirm that we are all one in spirit. And maybe you noticed today that Sandra's missing, and Chris and myself. I'm on this side today. Wow, but that's because of this weather. So we had some extremely, fun weather to drive in this morning, but y'all made it here. That's good. But Sandra did not. But we were fortunate that our speaker, Jan Garrett, today brought her voice with her. Yay. So we're having, a few changes today, but it's all good because you're here, and the whole thing is about you being here and coming to receive what you came here for. And I know you can do that because, like she's saying, all things are possible. So she already introduced herself, Jan Garrett, and so I also want to have special thanks that you did bring along your voice, and also for our sound crew, Byron and Wayne. So we thank you because we can't do any of this without you. Now today is going to be the last live stream for a while, and nope. We're going to extend it 2 weeks through March 12th. Okay, that wasn't on here. But anyway, we are going to extend it 2 weeks on March 12th. So if you are watching from live stream, know that you can attend for a few more weeks. But we would really love it if the weather was good and you'd come here. So be with us. Okay, so please feel free to join me in prayer. Sweet Spirit, we open our hearts to receive you. We greet this day centered in God and in the knowledge that we're all one in the Spirit of Christ. It is from consciousness that we each become an individual expression of the love of God. We envision sending this love out to the world, seeing love extending out to our Unity community, to the city of Spokane, and out across the globe. We honor all those who worship on this day, no matter what religion, for we know that there are many paths to God. But there's only one God, and the warm and loving spirit of unity. We say, thank you, God, and amen. Now, Jan is going to come up and get us ready for meditation. So while she's singing her song, I would invite you to start relaxing, find your center, and form a sacred place around you. Thank you. Jan?
We're going to listen. We're going to follow our dreams. Listen, 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 listen to your dreams. Listen, 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 listen to your dreams. Don't hesitate. It's never too late. yes, always hold on to your dreams. The time is now. You know how. Just follow, follow, yes, follow your dreams. Yes, follow, follow, yes, follow, follow your dreams. Just follow your heart. You can make a new start if you listen and always follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams. Sometimes we are not sure what those are, but we take this moment now to find our heart center. If you need to place your hand on that heart center to focus there, do that. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor. And I invite you now to take in a deep breath. Bring that breath through Mother Earth, through your feet, up through your being, and up into that heart center. Breathe in. And as you let go, just release everything that was negative in your week, in this world, the thoughts that we might have thought this week that weren't all good. Because we are going to take a journey into our hearts, wherein lies the field of all possibilities, where our dreams lie. We have infinite wisdom dwelling within us. I ask you to tap into that source. Take another breath and breathe in the love of God. Breathe in goodness and breathe out and relax. One more breath in, and as you breathe out, relax your whole body from the top of your head, your face, shoulders, arms, hands, legs, knees, feet. Then focus again on that heart center. Do you have dreams that maybe you didn't fulfill? Or do you not know what to do at this point of life? Maybe you're at a turning point. I ask you just to ask the divine to show you what it is you need to focus on or want to focus on right now within that heart center. Our heart and our brain have a connection. And whatever we feel in our heart with the emotion that would be attached to that dream, we can tune in and make that happen, send signals to our mind, and we start performing in that realm. So I ask you now just to take one thing that either you're not certain about, or one dream that you want to have, and one dream that you haven't finished fixing yet or putting in place, and hold that within your heart. And just imagine yourself now, how would you feel if that dream were to come to fruition? Or if you're not sure, then just imagine yourself being in a place where you'd want to be in this part of your life. How does it feel there? If it's a place of goodness, then there's happiness there. There's love there. How does that love feel? Where is this place? Is it in your home? Is it someplace else? Is it here at Unity? How do you feel when you're doing and performing this part of your life in your dream? Are you happy? Feel the emotions. Give you a minute now just to tune into that, and I ask you just to have a little daydream within your heart right now. Just feel the emotion of how you would feel as those things come to fruition. When we begin to tune in to these sacred places within us, and we can put our feelings there, we can bring them to pass. We can bring them into our lives to become real, not just a daydream. If you have a vision, I ask you now to lift it up to the divine, to bless it, and then put your hand back on your heart. Bless your heart and bless yourself for this journey. Take another breath. Bring your awareness back to your space here. Breathe in love. Send it out to the people next to you, around you, out to Unity Center, to your city, to the world. And know that all is good. And we give thanks to the divine for this time, for this presence, for our place and our purpose in this moment. Thank you. Now that everybody's feeling all peaceful, we're going to say our, hold up the vision of a peaceful world and nation. Invite you to share in Unity's statement for peace. Together, I stand for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Equally. I stand for peace in my lifetime. It is therefore my position to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever name for guidance and pursue peace, not war. For this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Did I skip a line? I must have skipped a line. I apologize. Okay. Well, now let us pause and stand in the silence, acknowledge the divine in each other. For those joining on live stream, I encourage you to envision yourself with all those you consider a part of our spiritual community. Feel yourself expressing love towards these individuals, beholding the divine presence within each of them. Okay, so I'm really thankful that Jan came today and made it through the storm. Anyway, she's going to stir up some little snowy stuff in our life. Just pretend you're a little snow globe and shake it up here, Jan. So I invite you now to get ready, get yourself ready, and I'm inviting Jan. She's going to do an opening song and then lead right into her message. So her message, she'll give you the title. The song is called There's a Light.
We're acknowledging today in many different ways that there's a light inside of you. That light is the divine energy of God. So this is a song in honor of that light inside of you. There's a light inside of you, shining brightly. There's a light inside of you, burning strong. When you shine your light, you're bringing love to the world. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Shine on. There's a light inside of you, shining brightly. There's a light inside of you, burning strong. When you shine your light, you're breaking love to the world. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Shine on. There's a light inside of you, shining brightly. There's a light inside of you, burning strong. When you shine your light, you're breaking love to the world. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Shine on. It's really important that we honor, acknowledge that light inside of us, each one of us. That light of the divine, that light of God, that is the very best in you, the very best. And sometimes we're kind of afraid to shine that light, but we don't need to be, because it's that divine light inside of us. So don't be afraid of it. Shine that light as big and as bright as you possibly can, right? There's a light inside of you, shining brightly. There's a light inside of you, burning strong. When you shine your light, you're bringing love to the world. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Shine on. When you shine your light, you're bringing love to the world. Don't be afraid to shine your light. Shine on. So today's message is about shining your light. But how do we do that? Well, I am going to get really personal with you today. I hope you don't mind. And I'm going to make you work a little bit on here. I'm going to ask you to think clearly about yourself and where you're going and where you are. And I'm going to give you a quiz at the end, okay? Don't you wish you'd stayed home? Okay, so yes. So the first thing, if I were to ask you, how happy are you with your spiritual life? We're talking today about your spiritual life. So if I were to say, how happy are you with your spiritual life? Really, there's one of three answers you could give me. All right? The first one is, it's great. It's great. There's nothing I would change. I love everything about it. Okay, that'd be cool if you could say that. Or you could say, it's okay. It could stand some improvement, but it's okay. Or you could say, you know, my spiritual life is not really working for me. So you've got one of three answers. Now, if you're answered B and C, it's okay, or it's not really working for me, then you might want to really pay close attention to the talk today. If it was great, everything's going great, nothing I would change, then you have my permission to take a snooze during this talk. Just don't snore. So what I want to, the problem with talking about your spiritual life is that there's no way to really measure it. You know, it's not like I can say, so tell me about your spiritual life. And you can say, well, I have 3/4 of a cup of spirituality. Or I have a mile of spirituality, yeah. Or there's a sonar that's measured it at 36,000 feet below the sea. That's how great my spirituality is. There's no measure of it. So when we take a measure of your spirituality, what we're going to use is a swimming pool. Makes total sense, I know. So the swimming pool is a metaphor for your spiritual life, and you are the swimmer in this swimming pool. So the swimming pool, let's call it a unity swimming pool, okay? It's a unity swimming pool. You're the swimmer, and I'm going to ask you where you are in that swimming pool. I'll explain that, and then I'll show you the benefits and the disadvantages of being in that part of the swimming pool. So this is the first part of the journey. I'm going to be asking you to figure out where you are in the pool. First thing I'm going to want you to do, though, is rate, because I want you to hold in your mind as we go through this exercise where you are. So I'm going to ask you to rate in your mind on the scale of 1 to 5. Okay? Where are you in your spiritual life? How happy are you? How happy are you with your spiritual life? 1 is the not very happy end of the spectrum. 5 is overwhelmingly overjoyed with my spirituality. So from 1 to 5, in your mind, how happy are you with your spiritual life? Okay? Now we know where you're starting. This is our starting point. We're starting here. All right. So the first thing, if looking at the swimming pool as a metaphor for your spiritual life, there's the shallow end. Let's start with the shallow end. It equates to, I really don't want to use the word shallow spirituality or surface spirituality, but it's not a deep spirituality. It's kind of a surface spirituality. So what does it mean to be in the shallow end of the swimming pool? Spiritual swimming pool. Well, in the shallow end of the pool, as you recall, your feet's firmly on the floor of the swimming pool. Your head is above water. All right, so you're firmly planted there. And you don't have to work to swim. You can just stand there and breathe and have fun and splash the water, and everything's grand, and you derive some benefit from being in the shallow end. You're not working very hard. It's fun. You can still have fun in the shallow end. Yeah, that's cool. You've got people around you, but the people around you are mostly children, swimming around there too, and that's fine. So the shallow end of the swimming pool doesn't take much effort. Okay? You're not extending much effort in the shallow end of the spiritual swimming pool. All right? So how does that look in the real world? How does that play out in the real world? Well, a spirituality that's kind of surface, I'm going to say that, and I don't mean to be negative because there's no wrong here. No wrong at all. You are where you are. What works for you, works for you. I'm not judging anything, and I don't want you to judge anything. But if you are kind of going it in a shallow way, then what that means is there's something in the business we call C&E Christians, which means Christmas and Easter. So people who have a shallow spirituality, they show up at church, if they show up at all, they show up on Christmas and Easter. Not a problem. I did that for a few years. Not a problem with that. Or you may come once in a while to church. That's okay. You may join a class once in a while. Maybe not. It's just mostly, you come when you feel like it. You get the sermon. That's good because you learn from the sermon. You learn from being in spiritual community. That's all good. So there's nothing wrong with it, but you're not giving a lot of attention. It's not requiring anything of you. You show up, you listen, you go home once in a while. No big deal. Pray if you think about it. If things get really tough, then you might pray. But aside from that, it's just kind of there in the background. That's a shallow spirituality, okay? So the benefits is that it doesn't require much. The detriment to it is that, I said that there were children kind of in the shallow end of the swimming pool. Part of that is that the people around you are kind of shallow also. You're not amassing really deep-thinking spiritual friends. You kind of, we just kind of tend to be with our tribe, and with our tribe are just people who are kind of in a shallow spirituality as well. not a problem. But if you're wanting to enlightenment in this lifetime, it's not going to take you there. Okay? All right. So that's the disadvantage of that, but the advantage is you don't have to work hard. So, and again, nothing wrong with all that. So then, let's take a look at the medium, the intermediate part of the swimming pool. And the intermediate part of the swimming pool is, there you can be in the shallow end, and you can wade out. Now I'm only 5 feet tall, and that's if I really stretch hard. So you can wade out there, and you can, get this, for me, get like this with the water while my feet are still touching the ground, right? People taller than me are a little more comfortable than that. But there's this drop-off, right? In the medium part of the pool, you can stay in the shallow end, but there's this part that goes deeper. And so this is the intermediate part of your spirituality, let's call it. So in the intermediate part of the pool, your feet are still touching the ground when you want it to. Your head's still above water. You have to work a little bit harder to keep from being towed, like the waves kind of can pull you down, and you can drop off that little edge. So you have to work a little bit harder to keep your head above water, so it's a little more work required. And you don't have as many children now following you. It's more of the practice swimmers. So there's where we are in the intermediate part of the pool. You got to work a little hard, but not so bad. How does that translate in the real world? What am I talking about in the spiritual realm? Okay, so being in an intermediate spirituality, so to speak, is that let's say you attend church much more frequently. You're more involved. Your spiritual life is more active, right? So you attend church maybe almost every Sunday, maybe 2 or 3 Sundays a month, something like that. You might volunteer on a committee. Maybe, a decorating committee, welcoming committee, something like that. So you might volunteer on a committee once in a while. You might tithe to the church. You might start a regular tithing program. That's good. Kind of keep up with things. You've got friends. You've got a spiritual community and the spiritual community is so rich. It is so rich. It's such an important part of your spiritual life. I don't ever want to downplay that. And you've got that. The more that you are coming to church, the stronger your spiritual community is going to be, because you're seeing the same people week after week, right? So you're getting to know people, and if you're volunteering on a committee, then you're getting to know the people in your committee very well. So you're getting more involved with the church in that way. You may take a class, maybe a class a quarter, and so that will kind of keep you going. You may read a spiritual book here and there. That's good. So it takes more effort for you to be in the intermediate part of the pool. It takes more effort for you to put into your spiritual life. But you reap the benefits. You reap the benefits of gaining a more rich spiritual life, sinking a little bit deeper into spirit. So that's a great thing. And I'd guess that a large amount of the people who are coming to church on a semi-regular basis, they're in that group. There's a large part of people, if they come to church, that are just doing the shallow thing. Not a problem. But there's a whole lot of people who are coming on Sundays, and they're doing the regular Sundays. They're showing up. They're tithers, and this intermediate part's kind of working for them. That's good. That's good. Not a problem with that. But for some of us, it's not enough. Now, when I've been a unitic for the last 30 plus years, and I started out, most of my adult life was spent at Seattle Unity. And I loved it. And I went through the whole swimming pool scenario with them. I started out at first attending just once in a great while when it suited me. And sometimes I skipped all of the opening stuff. I just snuck in for the meditation and the sermon, then I walked out, So, minimally involved. And then after a few years, I decided I wanted to put some skin in the game. I wanted to get more involved. So then I became a member. Then I started taking classes, and one class led to another, led to another. And then I got into the choir, and then I started taking chaplaincy classes and prayer classes and on and on. And then there came a point where the ministers took me aside and said, "So, when are you going into the ministry?" And at the time that he said, "When are you going into the ministry?" was about the time I was ready to quit. I was ready to quit attending Seattle Unity. And why was that? because I had done all I could do as an intermediate congregant, and it wasn't enough. There was a longing in my soul that said I needed to go deeper. I needed to know God really on a visceral level, on a personal level. I needed my energy and God's energy to be one and the same. I needed that so badly, and I wasn't getting that where I was. And so I was like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do, but I need more than just attending in the intermediate part of the pool and the intermediate spirituality, right? And so when my minister said to me, when are you going to ministerial school? Shocked me entirely, because I never thought about that. I had a Bible phobia at the time. And it's like, oh, I can't be a minister. I have a Bible phobia. So so Reverend Steve helped me with the Bible phobia. But so when I thought about that, I thought, oh, well, I can know God a lot deeper. I mean, I can deepen my spirituality a lot more by going to ministerial school. And that did it. That did it. Oh, boy. Opens up a whole different kind of scenario there. But there are some of us who are born to be mystics. Mystics are those spiritual seekers who long to know God, who are the ones who are asking the questions. It's not enough to say there's only one presence and one power, and that's God the good. There's one thing to say that, one thing to believe that. It's another thing to say, am I the only one who believes this? How do you know this? Who said this? Those are other questions, and I needed those questions answered, right? And ministry, I chose actually an interfaith ministry because it gave me a much broader look at religions around the world. And lo and behold, I found so many religions believe that. It's like, oh, really? So this religion believes that, that religion, really? Who knew? Right. And then it made perfect sense when I understood that Charles Fillmore was influenced very, very heavily by Swami, I want to say Satchidananda, Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, the Eastern guru back in the World Congress of Religions, or World Parliament of Religions back in the 1800s. And that's a very important tenet in the Hindu religion where Swami Vivekananda came from. And you say, oh, Hindus, they have a lot of different gods. No, they have a lot of different gods, all different names for the same divine source. Right? And that's one of those, like, oh, who knew that? Okay, now I get it. Now I get there is only one presence, one power. So many religions are saying that. All right, I can get on board with that. So the mystic is the one who seeks to understand that, who longs to know that, who longs to touch the divine in by whatever way they can. That's what the mystic is. And some of us are born to be mystics. And for those of us who are born to be mystics, then intermediate spirituality doesn't cut it. It just doesn't go far enough. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It serves a lot of people, not a problem. But it doesn't go deep enough for mystics. And so then there's something else we have to do. And a lot of times, the reason I'm doing this talk today is because I didn't know how to go deeper. And that's why I almost quit. Not my spiritual journey, but that spiritual path I almost quit because I didn't know how to go deeper. So I'm here to tell you today that if you want to go deeper in your spirituality, I will show you how you can do it. Okay? All right, so the deep end is making the deep dive. So much is required of you. When you go into the deep end of the pool, you're committed. You're fully committed. It's either sink or swim. You don't have a choice because there's no bottom you can touch unless you're way down there. And if you notice, as a kid in the swimming pool, I used to go way down to the bottom of the pool. The energy at the bottom of the pool, the suction is really heavy, hard. It's pulling you down. So you have to fight to get back up. So you have a lot is required of you. You have to work really hard in the deep end of the pool to stay afloat, to keep your head above water. So that's in the real world. That spirituality translates into anyone who has made a commitment to go deep, deep, deep in your spiritual life. You are always working, always working. You are praying every day, multiple times a day sometimes. You are meditating daily. When you're involved in the church, you are all in. You are in one committee, but several committees. You are showing up to do whatever. You've got a lot of talents that you're bringing to bear. Whatever needs to be done, you're there to do it. You know, you're committed to your church. You're a regular tither. It's a part of who you are because you know that is an expression of your good. And you want to support what is supporting you and all the people in the community. So that's a big part of it. You are taking classes, you are doing lectures, you are watching videos, you are reading all kinds of things, right? You are immersing yourself in spirituality because that's what brings you joy, because this is the practice. You want to know how to get to God? Love is the way to God. Is love always easy? No. Love is not always easy. Compassion is the way to God. Is compassion always easy? No. Compassion is not always easy. And there are tests. The universe is really good about bringing you tests. You might say, oh, hey, I've got this compassion thing down, right? And then something happens. Somebody does something that is really painful and hurtful to you. And do you have compassion for them? That's a little bit harder, right? So the universe is always bringing you tests to see, oh, really? Now are you loving? Now are you compassionate? Now are you forgiving? Now are you forgiving? Better yet, are you not judging? Right? So that's something that you learn to live with as a spiritual mystic, as someone who wants to go deeper. You learn to live with, oh, can this tragedy occur for me? Can my housemate die? Can my spouse die? Can I get this tragic diagnosis? Can I lose my job? Can this tragedy happen? And I still stay centered and peaceful and knowing that all is in my good, all is for my good. Can I stay that way? Can I be the eye of the hurricane when life is crazy, 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 crazy around me? Can I stay peaceful and centered? I can if I have put in the time and the practice and the discipline to walk my spiritual path. Then I can stay centered. But if I haven't put in that time, then I'm going to get blown away by the winds of life and tragedy and all the things that we are facing in this lifetime. So it's a solid ground, a solid rock. Your spirituality is the solid rock that holds you still, that holds you centered while life is crazy around you, right? That takes work, my friends. That takes a lot of practice. You've got to build a lot of spiritual muscle in that swimming pool. Got to do a lot of laps before you build up the spiritual strength to be that kind of center, that kind of light. But you know what? People are drawn to the light. So especially in a tragedy, especially in chaos, then people are going to be drawn to you. If you can be centered, they're going to come to you. So not only are you keeping your head above water, you're keeping them above water too. You're holding on to them too. So it's why it's really critical for us to pay attention to our spiritual lives especially at this point in time when the world is absolutely bonkers, right? The world is bonkers. And how do we make a difference in the bonkerhood? How do we make a difference when everything around us is bananas? Can we be centered? Yep. Doesn't mean we won't be blown off a little ways. We can get blown off a little ways. We're still human, you know. But the measure of how well you're doing spiritually in your spiritual practice is you might get blown off. There's not a problem with that. But how fast can you come back to center? Does it take you a few hours, a few minutes, a few days? If it takes you a few weeks, well, okay, maybe a little more work is required, right? But when you're centered and you're peaceful and you're a light and you're a love and that light of God is shining in you, other people are drawn to you because they're using you like a lifeline, right? You're like a little life raft in the swimming pool. They're going to come to you and you're going to hold them up because you're holding yourself up. See, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. So that's why it's so critically important, I think, especially at this time in our lives, to pay attention to how happy we are with our spiritual lives and be honest with ourselves. Are you happy having a surface spirituality? Again, not a problem if you are. Not a problem. It's good for you. Whatever you want is good for you. If you'd like a little more, though, and you want to go into the intermediate, then there's things you can do. And so I would advise you to do those. I'm going to give you a sheet that will tell you what that is. And then if you want to really make a deep dive, then you make a commitment to yourself and make a commitment to the divine, saying, look, I'm yours. Let's do this. Right? I'm yours. Let's do this. And God will see you through the craziness that occurs when you make a commitment to really knowing God. It's worth it. Worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Okay? So, let's take a quiz. What do you say? Wendy, can we distribute the sheets? Okay? So, I am going to give you a quiz, and for those of you who are joining us online, I will kind of tell you what it is. Get a pen and paper. We're going to hand out pens and paper and something to write on. Little books that you can put that on. And this is not for me, this is for you. But I want you to think about it. I want you to take it home and think about it if you don't have the time to write it up here. And as that's going around for those of you online, the first question I'm asking them is, my spiritual life is. And this is what I want you to put in the blank. Is it great? As in, couldn't be better, there's nothing I would change. Is it okay? As in, it's okay, but there's room for improvement? Or is it, it's just not working for me any longer? So that's what I want you to put in the first blank. My spiritual life is, put one of those three. And I'm going to ask you to rate the importance of your spiritual life to you. Because for some people, it's not that important. For others, it's critically important. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least important, 5 being the most important, how would you rate your spiritual life's importance to you? And where are you swimming? So I want you to write, I am swimming in the shallow end of the pool, I'm swimming in the intermediate end of the pool, I'm swimming in the deep end. I don't care where it is, you just write it down as to where you are right now. And I'm asking you to write the supporting evidence for that. As in, I'm in the shallow end of the pool because I only attend church every once in a while just when it suits me and I've got nothing better to do. Or I'm fully in the deep end because I am fully committed and I'll do what it takes. So, where are you in the swimming pool? And do you want to go deeper? If you're in the shallow end or the intermediate end, or even if you're in the deep end, because you can go all the way down to the bottom and get kind of sucked up around the drain if you want, which is it's a bad metaphor for this, I know. But you can go deeper wherever you are. Do you want to go deeper? And maybe not. But if you do, then, and I want you to ask why. Yeah, I want to go deeper. Why? Because I want to be centered and peaceful when life is crazy. Or why not? Because it just takes too much work and I'm overwhelmed with work and school and kids and whatever. Just be honest with yourself. This is not for anybody's eyes but your own. And I know I'm covering this quickly, but you can fill this out at home if you don't finish it here. And what can you do to go deeper? So this is what I want you to look at, is what you're willing to do to go deeper. And you will see on the quiz paper that I've given you 12 strategies for going deeper. So for you online, I'm going to tell you what those 12 strategies are. One strategy is to take Unity classes, take New Thought classes, take them here at Unity Church, take them out in the community. There are all kinds of classes offered in the community. How to meditate, how to align your chakras, how to, classes on world leaders, spiritual leaders, what 5 things the Dalai Lama says. Take classes of anything related to religion, New Thought in particular. Take the classes. Lots of classes, as many classes as you can take. 2, volunteer at church regularly, and you do get bonus points for a variety of duties because you grow immensely the more duties you take on. 3, volunteer in the community for a cause near and dear to your heart. Volunteer at the animal shelter, volunteer with the homeless, volunteer at the food bank, whatever it is that calls you, with children, babies in the hospital, whatever it calls you, volunteer there. Giving of yourself is one of the greatest spiritual gifts you can give and receive. 4, explore different religions. How are they the same as unity? How are they different? By looking at different faith paths, you understand much more deeply what the unity path is all about, how we got to be here, what we believe, and that you'll find that we're not the only ones who believe that. And that's a very big and important point on your spiritual path. 5, learn from one or more really good teachers. I mean, one or more really good teachers. Find those you resonate with. There's a lot of spiritual teachers. If you don't believe me, look at the spiritual section of any bookstore, library, online. Look at YouTube. Lots and lots and lots of spiritual teachers. Find one or more you resonate with and follow them. Learn from them. Read about holy persons, past and are living, about religious history, like the history of the Bible. You will be amazed and shocked when you read about the history of how the book that we call the Bible came into being. Read about the principles of New Thought. Read as much as possible on as many diverse subjects as possible. Educate yourself. Because there's some things you're going to really agree with, some things you're going to disagree with. And your questioning is one of the greatest gifts that you have, one of the greatest abilities that you have. So question by reading. Pray daily or multiple times daily. My fiance and I have started praying in meal times. My mealtime prayers usually are, thank you, God, for this food. I really appreciate it. Amen. So that's usually my prayer. So David started getting more verbose. He has all these flowery prayers. Okay, I'll do the flowery prayers. That's fine. As long as we touch into the divine, it doesn't matter if it's thank you, God, amen, or if it's like, and we thank you for the day and for the food and for the, yeah, okay, fine. Yes. Just touch into the divine. Yes, pray one or more times daily. When you get up, when you go to bed, when you eat your food, whatever happens, oh, for God's sakes, when you see an accident on the highway, when you see an animal hurt, when you see a homeless person, pray. Please, God, we affirm divine order and perfect healing for this homeless person. We see them getting their needs met in the best way possible. Pray often. Meditate daily. Spend time in meditation every day. It's a discipline, and you build up your spiritual energy by doing it daily. So meditate daily. Sing or listen to devotional music often. That's one of my biggest ways of connecting with Spirit is by singing. May not surprise you. There's a lot of devotional music out there. If you just like to sing, sing, and that will help connect you to the divine in a beautiful and powerful way. It's a path in and of itself. Spend as much time as possible in nature, contemplating the joys of creation. Wow, what beautiful clouds, God, thank you. What great sunlight, it feels so good. I smell the pine needles, it smells so wonderful. Look at all the green. Look at the spring flowers. It's the crocus, oh my God, it's the crocus. Spring is on the way. So God has made a beautiful universe. Appreciate it. Be out in nature as much as possible and appreciate it. Monitor your thoughts to imbue the principles of compassion, wisdom, peace, and love. And if you feel yourself, if you hear your inner voice doing anything that's not that, bring it back. Bring it back. Monitor your thoughts and make sure that they only are divine thoughts of wisdom, thoughts of peace, thoughts of compassion, thoughts of non-judgment. All of the spiritual principles. Make sure that your thoughts align with that. And when it doesn't, bring it back. And spend time with your spiritual friends, and that's the beauty of a spiritual community at church. You have spiritual friends here. Spend as much time as you can with them, in church, out of church. My spiritual friends and I used to walk Green Lake in Seattle after church on Sundays and talk about the sermon, talk about what we just heard. And did we have questions? We always had questions about the sermon. We talk about it amongst ourselves. So helpful. So spend time with each other. So improving your spiritual life is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, and it's one of the greatest gifts you can give your family and your friends and the world. It's a worthwhile endeavor. And if you do want to go deeper, I highly encourage you to take the steps and do what's necessary to go deeper and be the biggest blessing you can possibly be while you are here. Okay? All right. Love you. All right. Namaste.
Thank you, Jan. Boy, the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. That was awesome. And if you're here and you don't have some of those practices down solid, I got to assure you that a daily meditation practice and practice of prayer does really change your life. So it's a place that's easy to start with, and we've got the list now, and wow, hopefully we can grow. Right now we're going to take our love offering, and Byron's going to play a song while we do that. So join me in blessing I guess we'll bless the gifts after, right? So join me in the love offering today. Please join me in blessing these gifts as we affirm together our love offering statement together. Divine love, in, through, and as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you. I also invite you to place any prayer intentions into the box before you leave today. And our prayer team, along with Silent Unity, will pray for you for the next 30 days. Or feel free to call your prayer requests into our church office at 509-489-6964. 489-6964. Thank you, Doug. I have a few announcements today. So there is going to be a membership class taught by our Dana Zeller after service on March 12th. So if you're thinking about becoming a member, or you know somebody that would maybe be interested in becoming a member, be sure to invite them or come on March 12th to and stay after service. We're also, as I said earlier, by correction only, we're extending our live streaming through March 12th service. Also, there's an annual meeting coming up in Potluck on March 19th. So that's going to also be after service. So is there a sign-up sheet? Does anyone know, Wendy? Is there a sign-up sheet for the Potluck in the foyer, Wendy? There will be by the end of service a sign-up sheet for the Potluck in the foyer. So be sure to come. I mean, you know, it's the week of St. Patty's Day, so you could celebrate here like 2 days later or something. Anyway, do we have children today? All right. So anyway, let your voice be heard there, and then let's welcome the children in today. Walking in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. Wow. Okay, kids, how did you like it that you woke up and there was snow again today? Are you excited about that? No, kind of, no. Okay. Well, did you get excited today about your lesson? No? Well, then let's help you get excited while you share. Can you share in an excited way? And then bring that lesson into your heart today. I know that you were excited when you were doing it. And I can turn it over to Kendra right now to explain and let you help share with us what you did. Because we want to be excited. We want to know what you did today. So here.
I think the lesson kind of, towards the end, it got kind of crazy because we were painting. And so that's why Elizabeth was like, no, because she got some paint on her coat. But we were doing a lesson on continuing the power of prayer. I'm sorry, I don't know why my throat all of a sudden got crazy. So anyways, it was the power of prayer. And we learned different ways to pray. We tried meditation today as one way. Elizabeth she's not a big fan of meditation, and I explained that some people, it works for some people, other people don't like it. We also talked about affirmations again as a way to pray. And the one we learned today is, I talk with God and all is well. And then we reviewed the one we learned a couple weeks ago about there's no spot where God is not. Excuse me. And then we also did a lesson on prayer, thank you prayers, like thanking God for things we have in our life. And one of them that I thought was really creative was about one of the kids said that they thank God for their 5 senses, for their sight, their smell, their touch, feelings. And I thought that was pretty cool that they recognized that our senses are important, and that some people, maybe can't see or can't hear, and what a blessing it is that they have their 5 senses. And then we kind of continued the lesson on Daniel and the lion. And that's where we were doing the painting, and it got kind of crazy. So their paintings are in their drying right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra. So before you kids go back, can we bless you before you leave? Go. Because we just want to do that for you, okay? So, Jan, you want to lead the blessing for the kids?
We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we give all the praise.
Thank you. Thank you, kids. Okay, so we can stand now and join in the peace song. so we're going to say our blessing.
And our unity blessing, let us affirm that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Okay, there's probably some snacks, and I know there's coffee out in the foyer, so stay around and get to know one each other, especially our visitors today. Don't run off too fast.